The title of this mini podcast is, Now What? What if what you've been hoping for doesn't happen? Now what? My team didn't make it to the Super Bowl. I wasn't a millionaire by the time I was, fill in your magic age here. People can still tell me what to do. I'm not as pretty as I used to be. Now what? You may have done more than hope. You may have even planned for the thing that didn't happen. Now what? Now what is a question that too often goes unasked. Do you plan on doing more hoping? I hope not. Are you planning on doing more planning? It's too often a time-consuming exercise in diversion. What are you diverting yourself from? For most of us, it's answering the question, now what? Now what has focusing power that hoping and planning can never achieve. The answer to now what delivers a directive, one that you can then plan for and throw in a measure of hope as well. Reminds me of a story. I had a neighbor in Syracuse who moved his family to Florida to change careers. He opened a restaurant with a partner. He worked really hard at building the business and his new career. He sunk his life savings into that venture. One day, he arrived at work and didn't see his partner there. He called the partner's house to see if everything was all right. The phone had been disconnected. He drove over to this guy's house and it was vacant. He got this sinking feeling. He went to the bank and their business account had been depleted of all funds. He couldn't pay his suppliers and he couldn't procure the supplies necessary to serve his patrons. He was up what we call that famous creek. The business was closed, the building repossessed, and he found himself with a family to feed, nowhere to live, and a couple of $100 to his name. Now what? He rented a truck, put all his family possessions in it, and drove back up north. He showed the money to his teenage son and said, "This is all the money we have in the world." He took the time to ask himself, now what? And came up with a plan to head back home, rely on his family for a time, and build a new business. This story has a happy ending. He's built several businesses and is doing just fine. Now what dispenses with hope and puts you on the fast track to action. If your life is filled with hopes and dreams that are passing you by, I have a question for you. Now what? All the best, John.